Welcome to Salaam Nerds Podcast. We do reviews and recaps of nerd culture, reality TV, and current events from this week.
Yo, it's the Salaam Nerds. My name is Dean, aka Watch the Dean, and I'm here with my boy Chad.
We drop live episodes on YouTube on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. All episodes can also be found everywhere podcasts are found. Thank you to all our supporters. Please help us by subscribing and leaving a good review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yo, Salaam Nerds. It's your boy Neebs, aka Watch with Neebs, and I'm here with a special guest today, Nemo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, bro. I appreciate the invite, man.
No, man, I've been trying to get you on the show for such a long time, and I've been waiting for, a show that we're both watching together at the same time. And I was like, I wonder if he's watching The Penguin. And I was like, you know what, man? Let's go. Let's do this. But this is awesome. We got some people in the comment. Shout out to Victor. He came in. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But before we do that, Nemo, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, for starters, I am 27 years old. I'm from New Jersey. Shout out to the East Coast. I am a content creator, ex-professional gamer, aspiring filmmaker and musician. I've been streaming for about 5-6 years now, and I've been making content for about 2-3 years. And I'm not gonna lie, at first, I was a bit hesitant about the whole content creation thing, but after meeting so many amazing people and, gaining so many different opportunities, it grew on me. It grew on me so fast. And like, it's honestly a blessing, to be honest with you. There's some ups and there's some downs, but, I'm glad that I have friends like you and, my other mutuals that I could, experience those ups and downs with. So it's truly a blessing and an honor to be a content creator in general. So
I tell people all the time, the best part of content creating is not the views, not the likes, not the money, but it's the people you meet as you do this. It's always really cool. I love the little community we have, and it's so cool, and I get to learn things from people from different culture and how they view things. It's a really, really cool experience, and I'm glad I get to share that with you, man. I'm really glad we got to meet up. We met up a few times, and hopefully we'll get to hang out a lot more now that I know that you're so close by.
Right. When I'm thinking you're in Jersey, I'm like, yo, he's probably like deep north or like deep south. Like,
I thought you were deep south. We're basically neighbors, but so funny. All right, cool. All right. Well, you know what else is in New Jersey? The Gotham City. We find out Gotham City's in Jersey.
You want to know what's so crazy to me? At first, I'm like, I always thought Gotham was in New York, to be honest with you.
It is New York coded.
Always.
It's very New York coded. Yeah.
And so when this whole conversation came about, I'm like, why is everybody arguing? Because I always thought, because if you think about it, like New York and New Jersey, we really share a lot of the same culture.
Yeah, we do.
So I always thought in different Batman movies, it'll be set in New York, but they will travel down to Jersey, or like they go back and forth between Jersey and New York. So I thought everybody thought the same thing, but like, I guess not. And ironically enough, I'm wearing a Yankees hat. Which is crazy.
That's funny. We did like that. Well, it's Jersey when the Joker's car is on fire and nobody reports it.
Yeah,
completely
it's really like, it's more like Newark, New Jersey coded. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
It's not like the suburbs. It's not
like New Jersey absolutely suburbs. Not like the suburbs.
No, there's no Monroe Township or anything like that.
Facts.
Right. All right. So in this episode, we see the Penguin. Now he's like, all right, I gotta put in moves because now Maroni knows that I screwed him over. Sophia knows I killed her brother. He's on his own, so he has this little gang. They come pick him up, and he's like, yo, we got some stuff. If I get paid, you guys are going to get paid. So let's get some drugs. But we got to first kidnap Taj, who is the son of Nadia and Maroni. And they go and they pick him up at a tattoo parlor. I love this scene because there's just like crazy stuff happening all in the background, and dude's got his headphone on, doesn't realize it.
In his own world.
Then he goes for a run, and who catches him and knocks him down and beats him up other than Victor? Look at Victor dropping hands.
Yeah, listen, everybody is always asking me, am I team Sophia? Am I team Penguin? I'm like, no, I'm team Vic, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I love the character from top to bottom because it sort of explores the concept of a good kid in a mad city, you know,
Yeah.
and it's I think the best part about Vic for me and why I love him so much is
Hmm.
because it's not like he uses the excuse of, oh, like I'm gonna end up a certain way because I'm a product of my environment.
Right.
I like him because he tries really hard to be as good as possible. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like he's chasing this life. The life is chasing him, you
Yeah.
know, and that's what I love. So, you know, and some other characters, for example, let's see, Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
You know, like the life finds him, but it's not like he's running from it.
Yeah. He embraces it.
Even in the first episode, he was just like,
Yeah.
"Well, I think I'm gonna cook meth." And I'm like, "Wait, whoa, what?"
It,
You
it
know?
it it is very much like that. And like we learn in a flashback that like Victor always had that dog in him. Like he's always telling
Mhm.
his dad, like, "Yo, we should be doing more. We can't let people take advantage of him." And then like we see the Penguin kind of talk to him. He goes, "Your dad never got to eat at a fancy restaurant. That's not right. That's not how the world should work." And like it's getting into him. He's being gaslit into thinking, "Hey, you know what, man? He's right. Like, yeah, he's the scary dude. Yeah, whatever. But like, he's right. The way the world treated my dad wasn't right, and that's why he comes back around to save the Penguin because he wants more for himself,
Yeah.
and we get to see that. So while this is happening and they're kidnapping Todd, Sophia goes to talk to what you call Maroni, and they're trying to figure out, hey, you were screwed over. No, actually, no. She's talking to the cops. She didn't talk to Maroney yet. She's talking to the cops because they're at her
Oh,
house.
because
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. They're at her house because she basically killed everybody. So she's over there and
rightfully
she's talking to
so.
them. And then she's like, "Why is the chief of police here, huh? Oh, is it because you're trying to figure out what's going to happen, where your kickbacks are coming from? Because apparently the cops in Gotham are corrupt, and a lot
Yep.
of them were getting kickbacks from the Maroney family. Some of them were getting it from the Carmines. Some of them were getting from somewhere else. So we kind of get to learn that a little bit about them. So I think that's interesting. While she does kill her whole family, she does not kill Johnny, which is interesting, and she ties him up because she wants some information from him. But he starts talking about how he knew her mother, and he says that, hey, I was there the day that she was going to leave. She was going to take you and come to the car, but then she never came and he killed her. And she's thinking, well, if that's the case, why did you work with him for so many years? If that was your cousin and that's somebody you love, why did you do that? And I think that's one of the things where she's like starting to soften up for Johnny. And like, what are your thoughts about that?
I think for me personally, I think Johnny still worked with Sophia's father
Yeah,
just out of fear tactics.
that is true.
You know, and it's like a family dynamic that unfortunately that so many people have.
Yeah,
Because God forbid if he actually sided, you know, if Johnny sided with Sophia and his cousin to, you know, run away, and if he tried to quit or walk away, he
yeah,
knew that he was going to get killed, and he knew
yeah,
that the people around him were going to get killed. And it's so unfortunate because, you know, Johnny didn't have the power that he has now back then,
yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
it was going to be even easier for him to get killed. So I never really held that against him.
Yeah,
But what I do hold against Johnny is how he acts now, and he uses the past as an excuse to,
yeah.
you know, treat Sophia a certain way, and that's what I don't like. But the act of him still working with her father, it's
Yeah.
very understandable, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. No, I totally get it. And then while this is happening, one of my favorite scenes in this episode is where the Penguin goes to do the exchange for the drugs for Taj. And you're like, you see him and he's dripping wet, and you're like, or you don't think anything of it. And then you realize that it's a little bit of a double cross from Nadia's point of view. And then all he does is like drops a lighter and they both just burn up. This scene was incredible. It had me on the
Insane.
edge of my seat. What are your thoughts about that?
So I'm not gonna lie, it was unexpected. You
Yeah.
know, I thought him being covered in gasoline was
Yeah.
sort of just like a fear tactic
Yeah.
to get like Taj to be like, oh, okay, like he's actually gonna kill my son, so like let's just do this trade. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I didn't think he would actually do it because if you think about it, Oz, he's a very calculated dude.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't give him enough credit, but he may not be 10 steps ahead, but he's like a cool, like 3, 5 steps ahead. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like him doing that was like a 10 steps ahead move and not a 3 steps ahead move. You know what I'm
He's
saying?
he's
So
he's
it
definitely
caught me off
somebody.
guard.
He's definitely someone who thinks a few steps ahead. Because if you think about it, like he spread the idea in people's head that his mother died years before he got into any problems. Before he had beef with anybody, he was letting them know that she passed away, right? And that came in handy. So he does think several steps ahead. He is a master chess player. So I do like that about him. I did find it was funny when Maroney calls him and he goes, "You're cooked," and he goes, "Poor choice of word. You should talk to your wife." I was like,
Yeah.
damn,
No, that was crazy.
damn, Oz, you didn't have to do that.
The best comeback in the entire show.
That I was like, I gasped when I saw that. I was like, Oz, you just killed his family, but you
Yeah.
didn't have to. It's like it's bad enough you burned them, but you had to give them a sick burn
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, and that goes to show you the ruthlessness of Oz because
Yeah,
like if you really think about it, like Oz is not only an opportunist, but he will take the right opportunities and do whatever it takes to go through with those opportunities.
yeah.
So there are even some decisions where he doesn't even want to make. Perfect example, the opening episode where he kills
Falcone, Alberto.
Alberto, and like you see how he instantly regrets it, but then
Yeah,
he realized
yeah,
like, well, what's done is done. Might as well move on with it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it goes to show you how like ruthless he is. It goes to show you like he's willing to
yeah.
do whatever it takes.
And they did all that for just 2 buckets because all of the other mushrooms pretty much just dried up and there was nothing there. But
Yup.
luckily, they can probably do quite a bit with 2 mushrooms. So we'll see.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts about Sophia going from Sophia Falcone to Sophia Gigante? I thought that
I
was dope.
Dude, I absolutely love everything about that.
No,
Only
she's so good.
because it's so good. Everything about that decision for the story was perfect because it not only it's symbolism, right?
Yeah,
And so we see how she's treated in the past, and so her killing her family was an act of reclaiming her life.
yeah,
So her quite literally reclaiming her last name
yeah,
kind of resembles her actions in reclaiming her life and what she is owed.
yeah.
So it was just like the whole her reclaiming her name was just like the cherry on top of that narrative, and I absolutely love that.
It also gives her a way to be like, hey, the Carmine Falcone Empire is over. We're the Gigantes now. We're definitely new people. Whatever beef you had with the Falcones, don't worry about it. We're gonna start scratch. And
Yeah,
then Johnny's like, no, we gotta pay back some people. And she shoots him in the head. And everybody, and then she puts like a bunch of money over him with blood dripping down. And they're literally like scavengers, like going over his dead body and
yeah,
blood to grab the money, which is so symbolic. And I thought that was such a cool scene. And Christine just kills every scene she's in,
dude,
bro. If she's
every
not getting an Oscar,
scene.
I don't know what to tell you.
And
I mean, an Emmy.
like that whole scene,
Yeah.
and back to what you were talking about before on like her keeping him alive.
Yeah.
I think she kept him alive simply to kill him in front of everybody.
Yeah. She
To
wants to make a
use as
statement.
wanted to make a statement, wanted to set an example. You know what I'm saying? So the act of her killing Johnny in front of everybody was, like you said, like all that beef you have with other families and stuff like that. We're gonna start fresh, and her physically killing Johnny was like an example of this is me literally showing you that we're starting fresh. Like that was the
Yeah.
last piece of the puzzle.
And the thing is, before she said that, she talks about like how these people who were basically the thugs that she uses, she was like, hey, this is all about power and stuff, and you guys just get caught in the middle, and when you guys die, nobody cares. And that goes to one of her sayings, which she talked about earlier, where she says nobody in this room is a made man except for Johnny. Now, if you watch The Sopranos, a made man is an Italian mafia term to mean if you kill this person, there's going to be repercussions. So if you kill anybody
Oh.
else in the organization, anybody else in the gang, it's fine. But if you kill the made man, that's
Mhm.
different. That means you get retaliation. It's looked down upon. It's like a unspoken bond that you never go after a made man. And Johnny was
Oh,
the
okay.
only made man in that room. She killed him, and now they're all equal. So that was another reason why she killed him, and I thought that was so fitting.
I actually didn't know that. That's actually fucking awesome to hear. Oh wait, are we allowed to?
Yeah, you can curse. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that's awesome. I actually didn't know the made man terminology was a thing, and that actually just elevates
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you're from North Jersey and you watch Sopranos, you know what a made man is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I'm afraid to admit this, but I haven't watched, The
you ever watched Sopranos?
Sopranos. Yeah, no. I think I might have to hop on that low key.
It may be a little before your time, but I recommend it because, especially if you live in Jersey, people reference it all the time.
Oh, okay.
People are referencing The Sopranos, and you're not even realizing they're referencing The Sopranos
Probably.
because they
Yeah, I
have
might
the
have to
flashback.
check that out then for sure.
It's a good show. It's a good show. All right. So while this is happening, Vic is taking care of Oz's mom, and they go to this they go to Crown Heights or whatever it was called, and basically Squid finds him. And if you see in the flashback, Squid was this thug, and he was like a gangster, and he basically was somebody that Vic didn't like. He was kind of scared of him, and now he sees him, and I think there's going to be some stuff happening in the next episode about that, and I thought that was really interesting. But while this is happening, this is setting up that Sal and Sophia are teaming up. Now, this is very interesting because while this is happening, she's talking about, hey, I'm not a Falcone anymore. I'm a Gigante. I hate the Penguin. You hate the Penguin. He basically killed my brother, blamed it on you. All of the beef that we have between each other is because of him. Let's team up. And from this, what they start doing is they start killing a lot of people, anybody who is selling his drugs everywhere. And they're hanging them off the corner of like every block and cutting off their fingers. So like a reference to the hangman, but also the reference to her brother so that she knows he's doing it. My question is, where the fuck was Batman while this is happening?
The Batman, he was probably dealing with the Riddler somewhere.
Maybe.
The Joker was teased, so he's probably dealing with that. And it's actually ironic that you said that because there's an interview with the cast of the Penguin.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how they purposely didn't mention Batman in the show because they wanted the story to stand on its own. And I'm actually glad they made that decision, to be honest with you.
Too. They do reference him a little bit. But they never mention him by name. They just say there's
exactly.
a vigilante. They just say vigilante, which
right.
Is like, okay. But I get that.
And I love that decision because we don't need any outside variables to elevate a story for it to be good. Stories can be good on its own. So the fact that they, barely mention Batman or even vaguely mention him, and the story is still good without Bruce Wayne Batman, I really loved it.
To be fair, I 100% agree with you. I feel like the story stands on its own. We don't need Batman. I just think it's funny people are being hung in broad daylight and it's not catching attention. But I'm just being cheeky at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
he operates more at night than he does during the day.
So
there's that.
You're like, oh man, if only they hung these people up at night, I would have been on duty.
It's like, oh man, if it was 8 p.m. Damn.
No man, he's still in bed wearing his mascara. Or Batscara.
Yeah.
Whatever he's got. All right. So in the next episode, we find out that Oz and Vic find these tunnels, and these tunnels are perfect to grow mushrooms. So there's this whole operation that they're doing downstairs. We see that Vic is now riding a motorcycle, carrying guns. He's the top dog. He's the top dog in this operation. And while this is happening, Sophia and her crew cannot find him. They see him and then he disappears, and they have no idea where he is. They can't find these guys forever. And I thought that was really, really interesting. And I believe some time has gone on because they have the whole operation underneath their basement or the tunnels now. So it probably took a while to build all that up. Also, we saw snow. So it looks like between the
Yeah.
last episode of episode 5 and the start of episode 6, probably a few weeks have probably passed for them to get this
Yeah.
operation under. So his mom is probably living in that apartment, and they're probably, trying to figure out how to get this drug business off the ground. And a lot of people want these drugs, and they cannot sell as many as they make. They're just selling off like crazy. But then after the Maronis and Sophia start killing people, no one is selling the drug. So
Yeah.
Penguin comes up with the idea: we're gonna give it for free and get
That was
people
crazy.
addicted, and then people will come and buy. Which honestly, a lot of people don't know this, but the CIA did this to black communities in Philadelphia.
Yes, they did.
That's so crazy. And I'm like, yo, the Penguin is like taking notes, man. He knows what's going on. So that, I think that was really, really cool. What were your thoughts about his whole operation and how he was trying to engage supply and demand? Like, bro took his like economics class.
You didn't know for sure. And it was it even circles back to what I said before,
Yeah.
about how I said Oz is a very calculated man. So
Yeah.
it's just like in his thought, he was just like, okay, since Sophia and Sal are teaming up, we can't beat them on a head-on fight.
Yeah.
But what can we do for what is one thing that they can't beat? And
Yeah.
that's high demand. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So it's just like he basically not only created the demand from scratch,
Yeah.
but he quite literally flipped from being on the offense to defense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
he literally put the ball in his own court, which is insane to me. And that's why I love the fact that people underestimate him so much.
Yeah.
It's because it constantly gives him the upper hand because
Yeah.
he knows that people underestimate him. So
Yeah.
he uses that as an opportunity. He's like, okay, while people are underestimating me, I'm gonna plan ahead.
Yeah.
3-5 steps ahead. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was amazing.
What I really like about the Penguin is that when we talk about economics and him, working with his drug trade and supply demand, he's also providing jobs. And that's something that he really cares about, because when we go to the first episode, he talks about the one guy that he looked up to who was giving people stuff in the neighborhood. He was giving people money in the neighborhood. Now, Oz is someone who's providing people with jobs in the neighborhood. And he's like, you can't get better than that. Someone who goes around providing people jobs, right? And in his way, I agree. Like the city has let these people down. We know that Crown Points doesn't even have power to it,
Yeah.
right? And he's over there providing people jobs, getting them so they can like provide food and get like stuff to eat, and which is great. But then Squid finds out, and he's like, "Hey, everyone here is flush. Everyone here has money, but is not from selling drugs. They're not on the corner selling drugs. So what's really happening here?"
Yeah.
Right? So he wants to get in, and then he knows that Victor is part of this somehow, and you can see that Victor is really, really scared of him.
Mhm.
And next time Victor sees Oz, he wants to tell Oz about it. Oz is preoccupied about something else. So Vic decides, you know what, I'm going to handle it. And his plan is to go and just give him money and pay him off. That doesn't work. And then Vic ends up shooting him.
Yeah.
And after he shoots him, he's like, I'm sorry. And like, he didn't want to do it, but he felt like he had no choice because he threatened to go after Oz's mom because he saw her
Yeah.
go into that building. And you just see Victor like someone he can operate on his own now. He doesn't need Oz to tell him everything to do. He can operate autonomously. And you see him do that in this episode, but he still needs to come to Oz and tells Oz what happened. He doesn't even tell Oz what happened. He goes, "Is it that problem you had?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he starts crying. Oz knows what happens.
Yeah.
He did. And he goes, "It gets easier." What are your thoughts about Victor and his whole character development in that scene? Because honestly, man, it's so good. So well written.
So there's a lot to unpack with that situation. Like, there's so many layers. So number one, him killing Squid just goes to show you the amount of loyalty Vic has towards Oz.
Yeah.
Because he could have easily let Squid go after his mother.
Yeah.
But then that would have been a whole nother situation, and that would have, spiraled into a tree branch of many other situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number two, I know, and I forget if it was episode 3 or 4,
Yeah.
when Vic decided to let his girlfriend go to
Oh, yeah,
California.
Yeah.
People on the internet were saying like, oh, like he's in this life now, like he's in
Yeah.
it for real now. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, but this episode, this was the indicator
Oh, yeah.
that really like solidified that he's in this shit for real.
There's
And,
no going
like,
back.
Exactly. And then again, going back to my other point about how this life is chasing him,
Yeah.
this is another situation. Like if he didn't kill Squid was gonna go after him and
Yeah.
Oz's mother. And so it's just like, it's either I die and Oz's mom die,
Yeah.
or I kill you, and then it's just like another body from the streets. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So it's like it's just so many different layers to that, and I love the fact that, well, I don't love the fact that like Vic is like unaliving people, but I love the fact that he finally made a decision for himself. Like
Yeah.
the decision to let his girlfriend go to California, that wasn't a decision he made. It was a
No.
decision Oz made by manipulating him
Yeah.
and gaslighting him. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you're right. You're right. Good
You know what I'm
point.
saying? And basically like guilt tripping him into staying
Yeah.
with him, for Vic to stay with him to continue crime. So when Vic was in that situation with Squid, it was just like, okay, here's the situation. Oz is not here to manipulate me or make decisions for me.
Yeah.
I have to make this choice. And he made that choice on his own by himself.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, man. That is a great point. Poor Vic is racking up bodies. Like the
Yeah.
first one where he drives into that guy, I was like, okay, you know what? He might be paralyzed, but he might have
Right.
survived. He might
Yeah,
have
send
survived.
him to the hospital. He'll be good.
We don't know. That's not murder. That's more manslaughter. We'll give it to him. This one is straight murder. He's got no excuses here.
Right.
This one is it. All right. So Sophia also, she is trying to find these clues. Her and Maroney go to his house and they try to find clues. She finds a drawer. She realizes that there is a certain prostitute that he is into. He goes to her house and they have a conversation, and she's loyal. She's loyal to Penguin and she's not giving him up. And there's nothing going on with that until she does not like Sophia because she thinks he's the hangman.
Yes.
And it isn't until this conversation that she learns that she was never the hangman. Her father was the hangman, but Oz knew it all along. And Oz knew these girls. These girls were her friends. They were her girls. And the hangman killed them. And Oz was protecting the hangman, which was Sophia's father. And I think that was what made her turn on the Penguin. Because she's like, I know he's a narcissist. I know he's evil. I know he's all these things. But still, I don't care. I'm loyal to him. But it wasn't until she found out that he knew who killed her girls that she turned on him.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
That whole situation to me was like, obviously I'm not a woman, so I'm not going to speak on the experience of what being a woman is like. But when I watched that scene, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, I could only imagine the sisterhood that is between woman to woman.
Right.
Because if you think about it, like her being a prostitute, she's constantly being used.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And Sophia literally having her entire life specifically controlled by men. So it was just like, when she had that realization, she was just like, oh, okay, fuck Oz, woman to woman, we need to help each other out. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like, that moment was just like, wow, like that bond between, two women is stronger than the loyalty that she had towards Oz. And I'm not going to lie, like that whole situation, I felt like it was going to unfold regardless if she gave Oz up or not, to be honest with you, because she was going to find out anyways, to be honest with you, so it was just like, I'm glad that she gave up Oz, and it's bitter.
But I love the way she did it, though. I love the way she did it because Sophia was leaving. She was getting off scot-free. She didn't have to do it. It wasn't
True.
like her life was depending on it. You had to do it. She had a gun to her head because she told her, "Hey, if you're coming here to kill me to get back at Oz, he's not gonna give a shit. All he cares about is himself."
Yeah.
So she's like, she told him as Sophia was leaving, and she was gonna get off scot free. So I really think that like it brought the impact a lot more about what he did, and I thought that was
Yeah.
good. But speaking of Oz not caring about anybody, he does care about one person, and that's his mom. And we see that scene in the bathtub, and it's like you see Oz being this like manipulative person and doing all these horrible things and burning people. But then when you see him with his mom, you're kind of like rooting for him again because you're like, oh shit, look what he does. He's not a bad person, and his mom is also pretty manipulative. You know, when he brings her to the whole hotel with no power, she's like, "You're a failure. You let me down." And he like when he was like sleeping next to her, she also kind of manipulates him a little bit, and you kind of understand like where he gets it from, but you
Hmm.
also feel bad because of his relationship with mother and all he does for her. What are your thoughts about that?
The whole relationship, like I said before about, family dynamics,
Yeah,
um, we see that firsthand with Oz and his mother.
yeah,
And like you said, we see where he gets it from.
yeah,
And the fact that like Oz does it to people outside of his family as well
yeah,
goes to show you that he doesn't even notice he does it sometimes, just because
yeah.
that's how he was raised. If you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, him, guilt tripping Vic into staying in Gotham,
Yeah,
that was, a behavior that he learned from his mom.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
we're not at that part yet, but at the end where he's having the meeting with the heads of
Yeah,
the
we'll get there.
econ,
Yeah,
yeah. So like it's really a habit, and even in that one episode when him and Sophia are in the club trying to sell, the
bliss.
product
Yeah,
Bliss to the Asian gangs in Gotham. He not only does it to the gangs that he's trying to do business with, but he's kind of like doing it to Sophia, even when he's working with her.
in
So,
parallel. Yeah,
so it's like it's just a bad habit, and I feel like he doesn't even know he does it because he
yeah.
just picked it up from his mom.
But I do love the way that like they make the audience feel for him because she's over there talking about how you have to kill me and I want to keep my dignity, and she like promised me you'll kill me, and Oz have to say yeah, I will kill you, right? So you
Mhm.
think about that and you're like, man, he's in a tough position and it's really really tough. And then she has like no power in her in her house, and he also needs power to run his operation. So he goes to the city official and he like takes pliers to his nose, and the official knew him because he was Carmine's guy. And he's like, what? And like, he doesn't say like, I need power. He's like, almost does it as a hero. He's like, what are you doing? There's a place in Gotham and they have no power and it's poor people. Divert power to them right now or I'll come after you. He's almost like heroic at this point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But he's not heroic because he's doing it for himself. He's doing it for
right.
his operation. But he almost feels like someone who is heroic. My favorite part is when he's backing out of the parking spot. He goes, go ahead. You have more space.
Yeah.
So fucking Jersey. That's
It's
such a Jersey
bro, that's
line.
the most Jersey thing
That
ever.
was the most Jersey thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. No, but that scene was very indicative of
Yeah,
his character because if you think about it, like,
yeah,
yeah, he's doing it for selfish reasons, but
yeah,
again, he's an opportunist. So it's just like, I'm doing this for me, but there are other people in the same situation.
yeah,
So him going up to the councilman was basically like killing two birds with one stone. I get to
yeah,
help out my family, and everybody else gets to help out their family. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's like those type of actions that kind of makes Oz feel like he's because Oz knows he's a bad person,
yeah,
but I think he kind of gets off when doing certain actions like that. He was just like, yeah,
yeah.
I'm a bad person, but I'm doing these bad things to help people. So he kind of like tries to self justify. And
He
it's just
does,
like, so like it's scenes like that, he really tries to justify his
and it
actions
works
and
too. Because
it works.
even in the comics, Penguin is somebody who is liked by the people in his town because he helps them out. He gives them jobs. He is that kind of person, and that's who he wants to be. And that's how in some comics he ends up becoming mayor because he's actually well liked because yeah, he's a criminal, but he helps the everyday man all the time. So it's definitely something that I find very interesting about his character. And I know that's something that he really, really cares about. This is why when he goes to the Gold Summit, he has this amazing speech about like how all these people screw us over and like, forget the Carmines, forget the Maronis. They're just as bad as the people in Gotham who are rich because they're leaving nothing for the rest of us. And he gets them like really excited to the point where like even like the triad guy was like, no, why should we listen to you? You're nobody. And by the end of it, they're all like, yo, let's do this. And he's got them all up and he's like, together we're stronger than both the Maronis and the Falcons. So now Penguin basically has his own army and is
No,
bigger
literally.
and it's bigger and it's so crazy the way we saw that. And one of the things that makes him so powerful is that he's willing to share. He's not being stingy with like the drugs and whatever else he's doing. But I thought that speech was amazing.
It
Colin
was.
Farrell did such a great monologue. I thought like, bro, there's so many scenes in this show that I'd be like, I know it's a comic book show, but like there's so many Emmy-worthy scenes in this.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like Colin Farrell is such a powerhouse actor, bro. And literally every project that he's in, he just
Yeah.
proves why he's so good at what he does.
Yeah.
And so like normally when you're watching an acting performance, there's intention with everything, right? There's
Yeah.
intention in writing, directing, set, costume, makeup,
Right.
everything. But I can't help but to feel like a lot of the intentions and decisions that are being made are coming from the actor themselves and
Yeah.
not the character. But when I
Mm.
watch Colin Farrell play the Penguin, it's like Oswald being very intentional.
Yeah.
Oswald is making these decisions. It's not Colin Farrell, and that's what makes a great actor when you can't tell the difference between the two. And that's
Dude.
why like Robert Downey Jr. was so good as Tony Stark, because it was
Yeah.
just like he really threw himself into this role the same way
Yeah.
Colin Farrell threw himself in this role, and it's amazing.
Totally agree. You mentioned
what-
earlier about the Gold Summit. I wanted to ask you more about that. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, so the Gold Summit is when they had like all the gangs, like
All the gangs, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically, I think Oz realized the way Oz was so willing to like give up a piece of the pie, because he realizes very early on that money doesn't always mean power.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like territory equals power,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
So the more space you take up, the more value you get. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like, the Gigantes and, Maronis are together. That's just
Right.
two families. But it's
Yeah.
like Oz with like 6 other gang units. So it's like, like you said, it's just like he perfectly put that puzzle piece together. And like in the long run, like, yeah, he's giving up a piece of the pie right now. But in the long run, if all those gangs work together, he's gonna
Yeah.
make that money back in the future.
Yeah.
So not only do you have that power, you have the power of the territory, and in the future, the money's gonna come in regardless. So it's just he's playing chess while everybody is playing checkers, and that's why I love
absolutely.
that scene.
No, I agree. But even though he's playing chess and everyone else was playing checkers, Sophia finds her way into the house that his mom and Victor are staying at, and that's the last scene we see before it cuts out. What are your thoughts about that scene, and what are your thoughts about what's going to happen in the next episode?
So, for starters, the entire episode was very suspenseful.
Yeah.
Very suspenseful. Like in the scene at the summit where all the gangs were, and he's handing out the beers and like everybody drinking. I'm thinking he laced the beers and like
I thought that too,
bro. I'm sitting here, bro. I was literally leaned forward on my desk like this the whole time, like I was so stressed out. And then with the scene with Sophia being in the apartment, I'm like, okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I knew somebody was in the apartment, but I didn't think it was Sophia, and that's what made it 10 times more suspenseful for me.
Yeah.
So I knew somebody was in the apartment. I knew somebody was gonna go after Oz's mom. Yeah. So I'm just like, oh my god, like the music is playing, they're dancing, somebody's gonna get shot, and like this is gonna go south real fast.
Yeah.
But when I saw Sophia there, my thought process kind of like shifted a little bit,
Yeah.
because you know how I said Oz is always like 3-5 steps ahead.
Hmm.
Sophia, you can tell how angry she is,
Yeah.
right? Because she found out like, oh, his mom is not really dead.
Yeah.
But this goes to show you that she really does wants to be a boss as much as says she does.
Hmm.
Because when she sees that, she realizes like, wait, I could easily kill her right now, to be honest with you. But well, we don't know if because like that was the end of the episode. But she's thinking in her head, like while she's like staring at his mom, she's thinking in her head so many different ways she could manipulate this
Yeah.
situation. She's just like, I could tell Oz that I know his mom is alive, or I could pretend that I still don't know she's alive and use that as an opportunity to
Or
be
kidnap her.
and kidnap her. Like there's so many different avenues she could go. And that's what made it 10 times scary. But as far as what's going to happen in the next episode, I think she's going to pretend that she doesn't know.
Mm.
And because it just works better out in her favor, to be honest
Yeah.
with you,
Yeah.
because that way Oz is like a couple of steps ahead. But now that she knows that his mom is alive, that
Yeah.
brings him on the same. That brings her on the same level as Oz at that point.
Yeah.
Because you know when things go south, and another thing that I think is going to happen in the next episode, I don't think she's going to tell Sal that his mom is alive.
Mm.
Because if you think about it, she's going to have one up on Sal too. So
Mm.
just in case Sal tries to reclaim the family after they team up,
Yeah.
she's going to have, you know, ammo to take out both Oz and Sal if she needed to. You know?
Yeah. I have a theory what's going to
Mhm.
happen. And it's a little far-fetched, but I think what's going to happen is she's going to kidnap his mom, and she's going to be like, "Hey, give me your entire operation, and you can
Oh.
have your mom." And what's going to happen is the Penguin is going to choose to kill his mom because she already asked to be killed, and he's like, she already
Oh,
asked to
you're
be
right.
she already asked to be killed, and they made such a point to highlight that scene. And he's like, well, my mom wants me to kill her, and here's an opportunity of me losing everything that I worked for or getting my mom back. And the thing is, his mom wanted to be killed to preserve her dignity, but he's going to kill her for selfish reasons, and he's going to have to live with that. He's like, I didn't kill her
Oh, that's crazy. You're
for
cooking
her
with that one.
dignity,
You're
but I
cooking with
did
that
kill
one.
her because I was selfish and I didn't
That's
want to give her an operation.
crazy.
I,
And
I I think that's what we're gonna see, and that would be
and
really, really cool.
that would be crazy. And that's also even more crazier because you remember in like episode 2, I believe,
Yeah,
she's basically giving him like this motivation when they go to like Patterson or whatever, and she's basically giving him a motivational speech like, yo,
yeah,
listen, like this world is yours and you take it no matter what the cost is. And I feel
yeah,
like with your theory, I think that cost is
right.
her being that sacrifice.
I feel like they've been feeding us these Easter eggs for such a long
Yeah.
time, and that's gonna be a huge payoff. And also, the audience needs to hate the Penguin because the Penguin is a Batman villain. We can't see the Penguin and Batman and root for the Penguin. So like
Right.
he's going to do something dastardly. He's going to do something
Yeah.
horrible. So to remind us that he is not a good person.
Yeah. Oh
So
my
that's
God.
what
I didn't even think about it. That's crazy.
I
No,
think.
that would be wild. That would be wild. That would be
Yeah.
wild.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for joining, man. That was good.
Of course.
Hopefully we didn't miss anything, but I think that's all we talked about. Before we go, let people know where they can find you.
Oh, so I am Who is Nemo on both Instagram, TikTok, Threads, my YouTube. I'm actually slowly starting to switch to long form content on YouTube.
Nice.
So subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Who is Nemo with a question mark at the end. And I basically cover everything pop culture, more specifically nerdy stuff. You know, as you can
Nice.
tell, like we're all nerds here, you know.
Yes,
So we
we're
talk
all nerds.
about comic books, manga, anime, video games. I even talk about film. I recently did a whole horror movie marathon
Nice.
for Halloween. So yeah, I love all that stuff. So if you like nerdy shit just as much as I do, please go subscribe to the channel. And yeah, follow me at Who is Nemo.
Awesome, guys. So don't forget to follow him, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, guys, Salaam, nerds.